Hey, what's going on this week? We got a lot going on with the CIA analyst who's been caught. We're going to talk about the DF-26, China's ICBM, as well as the U.S. authorizing some strikes over in Russia, what happened out of that, and a few other things. Let's jump into it with history of the day with the mighty B-52. First, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, make sure you grab that link down below. Each and every week, absolutely free, and you get these little nuggets. So November 15th, 1957, the mighty B-52 took flight for the first time. The crazy part about this is the B-52 is going to be around till the 2050s. This is the exact same plane that rolled off the assembly line in the 2050s. This is the exact same plane that rolled off the assembly line in 1950 and 1960. It will fly for 100 years. Now, granted, it's gone through some modifications and upgrades, including which the current upgrade of its motors. Nonetheless, the B-52 has been a pillar of the nuclear triad for the United States. Obviously able to carry nuclear weapons, but also able to carry conventional weapons, and has been used in recent conflicts. So, to me, it's just wild to think that you can have a plane that's been around for 100 years still zipping through the skies. A plane of this size and magnitude, I should say. Now, over to our threat of the day, which is this guy, the DF-26, the Dongfeng. Probably butchered that as well. But carrier killer, aka the Guam Express. So China began developing this in 2012. They unveiled it in a military parade in 2015. In 2017, they had a successful test from the Inner Mongolia region of China, launching and striking a THAAD battery setup. This is able to reach targets out to 4,000 kilometers, which puts this as a formidable threat for anything operating in the South China Sea or the Pacific, able to target military bases out into the Pacific and threaten anything that's floating around. So it has been dubbed the carrier killer, aka the Guam Express. Will wreck your day. Now, obviously, the data we're getting out of China is limited, but it's estimated that they have between 80 and 100 of these DF-26 launchers. They did establish their first permanent brigade in 2018, and each brigade is composed of 12 to 18 launchers. It's assessed that by 2020, they've fielded an additional 3 more brigades of the DF-26. So a lot out there. And again, this is an intermediate range ballistic missile capable of reaching targets out to 4,000 kilometers. All right, over to the flight line. Remember the airman up in Massachusetts back in 2022 that leaked classified documents on the Wargaming Thunder Discord channel? Well, he's been convicted and he's been sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for that leak, which was leaking classified documents pertaining to Ukraine and our allies and operations that were going on over there. They spread through the Telegram channel, pro-Kremlin Telegram channels, shockingly, as well as other military blogs. Prosecutors labeled it as one of the most consequential Espionage Act violations in U.S. history. He did acknowledge his actions and apologize for them, but nonetheless, he is now sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. All right, I put another video out last week about the ATACMS. That's over on the main channel there. But the Army Tactical Missile System, the U.S. authorized Ukraine to utilize this. We'd given it to them. Ukraine is always asked to use these Western weapons to strike inside Russia, degrading Russian capabilities, and it's been denied. Well, it changed last week with the U.S. authorizing Ukraine to utilize these and strike inside Russia. Quickly responded by Putin saying, hey, we're changing our nuclear doctrine. We're going to lower the threshold required to utilize nuclear weapons, one of which being, hey, if a non-nuclear power attacks us, but they are supported by a nuclear power, aka Ukraine and the United States, then that will meet the criteria to utilize nuclear weapons if we so decide. And then more happened. So Russia unveiled the RS-26 and utilized that for the first time. That's an intermediate range ballistic missile system. And then Russia struck Dnipro, a city inside Ukraine. They launched the RS-26, obviously without nuclear warheads on it. And it's now being assessed, they launched it with inert warheads on it as, in my opinion, a clear shot across the bow of how things have escalated there. So, we'll see how that one goes, but there's some links there in the newsletter. Now, the S-70 drone that was shot down a few weeks ago, we put that in the newsletter. It's now being discovered that Western components are inside this. There's been a couple articles out there which we've highlighted over the last few weeks, stating that Russia is obviously heavily dependent upon U.S. and other Western nations' technologies to build their aircraft. And so in the S-70 drone, they have discovered items from Texas Instruments and Infineon Despite U.S. sanctions, they found over 4,000 components in various pieces of Russian equipment. Obviously, when there's a will, there's a way, and Russia is finding a way around the sanctions. Obviously, we're friends with people that are friends with them, but we're not talking, so not too far-fetched that we're seeing these components in there. But I imagine they're struggling getting them, just like their commercial aircraft. Now, November 17th, Russia launched another massive drone attack into Ukraine. Ukraine is saying that their F-16s shot down, looks like 10 of these. 210 drones and missiles were targeted towards Ukraine's energy infrastructure, and they were able to take down at least 10 of these targets with F-16s. It is impressive. Again, without going too far into the weeds here, right? But, knowing probably what radars they're running and the F-16s and things like that, I can see that being challenging. All right, and for those in the military and have ever dealt with the defense travel system for your travel vouchers, hopefully this just makes you smile because, if you mess something up on your DTS travel voucher, it will absolutely get kicked out. Or if you're overpaid by a penny, they're going to get their money out of you. But the Pentagon has failed its 7th audit in a row, which is just mind-boggling to me. That's even a thing or even acceptable, but neither here nor there. So the target now is 2028 to get their ducks in a row so they can pass an audit. So we're fencing in for another, 3 more failures of the audit. So let's see, 9 of the 28 entities received clean opinions. So I guess 9 out of 28 passed. It doesn't break down to as far as which departments or segments of the DoD that is. The Department of Defense assessed $4.1 trillion in assets and $4.3 trillion in liabilities, but continues to struggle with accounting for material and items and financial management. The 2028 deadline remains uncertain. So that's mind-boggling that that's even okay. But again, if you mess up your travel voucher, they're going to get it. All right, this is an interesting piece. The UAP, so the unidentified anomalous phenomena, UFOs, right, for us laymen, had a House Oversight Committee hearing on UAPs. Experts claim that the U.S. government runs a secret program or secret programs to recover and reverse engineer non-human technology, which would make sense if this stuff exists. Former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo confirmed the existence of crash retrieval programs and advanced monitoring technologies. Witnesses stress the need for transparency, with journalist Michael Schellenberger alleging Immaculate Constellation, a classified operation, uses high-grade tools to track UAPs. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we got UFOs out there? Maybe. It seems like all the Navy pilots definitely see them. No Air Force pilots see them. All right, CIA employee William Raymond, he has been indicted and charged with willfully retaining and transmitting national defense information. He was arrested in Cambodia, and he is accused of leaking top secret documents assessing Israel's military preparations for the strike against Iran. So this is the guy. Remember when all that information on how Israel is going to respond and strike Iran got leaked, and it was, I saw it, I assume everyone else did, popping up on the media. Well, this apparently is the guy. And it's attributed to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the NSA, which appeared on Telegram and detailed Israel's response to Iran's missile attack on October 1st. It was shared with Five Eyes, so United States, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. I think that's our Five Eyes. Definitely has broader implications for the leak there. I won't show it here, but if you Google it, you can see it. China's deadliest car attack in decades, which, it probably could be anyone. 35 people were killed in Zhuhai. This is right after the air show, which I put some videos up on that. A 62-year-old driver drove into a crowd. He was angry over a divorce settlement. This was outside of a stadium. But the videos on social media are pretty gnarly with fire department or whoever using fire hoses just to wash the blood off the street. But 35 people were killed in that. President Xi Jinping vowed severe punishment while social media platforms censored discussions of deeper societal pressures going on. They were slow to release casualty figures and limited state media coverage, which have also fueled public frustration. If you were planning on flying to Haiti, looks like that's not going to happen through the U.S. for at least 30 days. They had not one, not two, but 3 U.S. airliners that were hit by gunfire over the capital there. First was a Spirit Airlines flight. Those guys run rough anyways. It actually looks like it did injure a crew member, as well as a JetBlue and American Airlines flight discovered that they had damage for gunfire there. Rough week for Spirit there. They also filed for bankruptcy last week. Their deal to merge with JetBlue was blocked back over the summer, which I don't know enough about, but it does seem like that might have saved it. And their concern of low-cost carriers and protecting passengers from it failed because, yeah, it turns out Spirit had to file bankruptcy. Have to do some more digging into this as we wrap up. But the Chinese are being investigated. They had a ship that severed or passed over several severed Baltic data cables. They're scrutinizing the Chinese bulk carrier Jinping 3 for a possible role in severing 2 undersea cables. They got CCTV footage, which they've shared the snapshots of these boats passing over and or nearby these cables, and they were cut Sunday and Monday. Sweden and Germany are probing the incident, with Germany's defense minister suggesting sabotage or hybrid warfare. The Danish Navy is reportedly monitoring the vessel as it attempts to leave the Baltic Sea. So that's interesting, and obviously I think more of it to follow. All right, that wraps the lowdown for this week. Make sure you grab the newsletter. You can click the link down below. Sign up, absolutely free. Let me know your thoughts, or if you'd like me to talk about something specific. And have a happy Thanksgiving.